So there's a lot going on nowadays about digital sovereignty and digital independence. Talking to Eric and Flores, my partners here, about this topic. Um, Curious to understand their vision and what we have been hearing from customers, clients, I must say, about it recently, and also our view on what's possible and what's not moving forward, how to deal with it, and how this relates to our business, the contracting and licensing space. Eric, you want to kick it off? What's your
Sure.
moment?
Yeah. Interesting times happening in our world. Especially the geopolitical situation is becoming more and more topic in the Microsoft contracting and licensing environment as well. We see a lot of inquiries from our clients asking what consequences it could have for their specific situation. So yeah, I think in this session we would like to educate our followers, clients, and just to further elaborate on what's really going on and if you should be in a panic attack mode or not. Short teaser: stay calm. We think it's all good. And there's nothing much going on right now, but you should take some things into account when you are now negotiating your Microsoft agreement. Yeah, let's zoom in on that today,
Yeah,
Lucas, of course.
Eric, yeah, let's start with what you have been hearing from clients recently, and maybe give
Yeah,
your
yeah.
conclusion.
So back in the pandemic, we encountered a lot of clients who more or less signed a blank check to Microsoft. They were fully embracing the cloud, fully adapting E5, Azure, everything that was cloud. They would sign up for it.
Yeah. Yeah. So what we typically see is that clients who are applying our optimization method, they have the possibility to, without negotiation, spend more or less the same money as they were used to spend, and you don't need negotiation for that. And I think what Microsoft did very smart from their position is when the pandemic started, they were introducing the cloud at every client in every part of the world, even sometimes offering it for free, like they had the Teams promotion, offering it free because of the pandemic. Pushing clients at least to the M365 E3 platform or E5 even. We've seen cases in the pandemic where clients were just buying the M365 E5 suite out of some kind of panic attack, slightly implementing it and over years, and now renewing it without even requiring the whole suite. So of course, when you have consumed, Microsoft in the past had more or less an informal rule that you would get the same discounts that you had in your previous agreement, but that time is gone. So when you are now renewing and you don't have a good business case, and a good business case for us means you are consuming the whole service that you are buying, the chances are that you will get a very low or even no discount at all. So clients should be aware of that, that if you are using M365 E5 and you are using all of the components, or you have bought E5 and you are intending to use all of the components in the coming years, you should be aware that you don't have any commercial negotiation position when you are renewing your enterprise agreement. So therefore, optimization is, as we see it, probably the most effective way to reduce your costs and just buy what you need. And then you don't need the negotiation.
Even a year ago, when you had the release of Copilot, we've seen that local governments were signing up to Copilot not even while the product was released, signing agreements for 200K, not knowing what they would spend their money on. So that was very interesting, and we also questioning that was that a good move from clients, generally speaking. So a lot can happen in 12 months. Now, 12 months later, we see a complete shift. People are actively moving away from Microsoft. That's the sentiment we get from our client this time. where in the beginning anyone was asking, what's the smartest way to buy Copilot? Now the first question is, how can we get rid of Copilot from our agreements? So, and not everything is always very logic. It has to do with sentiment in the market. It has to do with the current political climate. But that shift, that mindset from our clients, that first they want to adapt everything that's Microsoft, and now they want to get rid of everything that's Microsoft. So I will believe in a bit of a balance in that sense. So what we try now to do is to really find out what the consequences are of the latest and greatest when it comes to what's going on in the world. And what I see now is I don't see any concrete reason to panic. I think from our perspective, it's always healthy, but we addressed that also years ago, to make a logic assessment on what's really required from your organization. Should you really be adapting Copilot? Is that really necessary, or are there alternatives out there? And that's really a question that all companies should consider. Where like a year ago, most companies would just sign the blanco check and go for the Microsoft alternative. Where now we see a change where clients are moving towards what's available in the market. Are there alternatives out there? And should we consider maybe another vendor as well? Yeah, so that's a topic we get a lot now, and that's why we also wanted to have this session. But maybe, Floris, what's your latest and greatest on that? Did you have any recent experience with clients addressing this?
Yeah, so many clients that we've been talking to are still in awe of what Microsoft is doing. They're like fully enjoying the direction that is taken over the years. Like a few years ago, when everybody was like, yeah, sure, Microsoft is releasing a new product, why not adopt it? They are starting to question a bit more if that makes sense or not. But that doesn't necessarily, in my opinion, has to do anything with the fact that it's something Microsoft has done. I think it's mainly because Microsoft is an American company, and that a lot of, for instance, European companies that we work for are hesitant to be too dependent on a behemoth like Microsoft, being from the US, storing all your data in the cloud, not knowing what can happen at the turn of the corner, even though Microsoft has a lot of guardrails in place and has written a lot about the Microsoft privacy and security terms. I see we've lost Eric, but he'll probably be back in a second.
Hopefully.
So let me just continue. So I think there's a lot that is happening right now on that geopolitical and economical front, and many of the companies we talk to are talking about, should I repatriate my IT? Should I move back to on-prem, for instance, or use a local data center? Should I find a hosting party in Europe that can do the same thing as what, for instance, Microsoft Azure can do for me? Because that dependency that they have created over time, and Microsoft has done a lot of good work in setting this up in that way, that is where they are now looking towards and asking themselves, was this the right strategic choice for me? Being from the US, like I said, being a large monopoly, having that new political force in place that might impact global trade in one way, shape, or form, is giving many people, many organizations, a lot of hesitation on having done the right thing or not.
And do we? Yeah, Eric, go on.
It's very interesting to see that shift and in mindset going on. I think another great example is in Holland. We have the municipalities who have negotiated a framework with Microsoft, and the council of the municipality of Amsterdam, they even announced, well, based upon what's going on in the world, we don't see any reason to continue in buying more Copilot subscriptions from Microsoft. So Copilot's off the table for now. We want to consult the market and see if there are alternatives out there. And that in Holland caused quite a change in the mindset. So now, I even can say I think that ladder from the council is a daily topic now in our business. You see that a lot of clients are really trying to see what are our options. Is this realistic now to move away? Yes or no. So that's very interesting to see, and it's not up to us to make any judgment calls around that whether clients should move away. We just want to have options for our clients, and I think that's very healthy. Also, from the negotiation perspective, if you have options, you have a better negotiation position.
Maybe that's a good bridge, Eric. So we don't judge if these concerns or let's say if they are justified or if they we don't have an opinion about it. It's people's choice, it's their opinion. The other end, maybe bridge to what can customers or clients do in this context, because what can be done from a contractual perspective or moving forward from a technology.
Yes,
that's quite a difficult thing, of course, because then you start talking about if the cloud has delivered on its promises or not. So like there's a lot of people now hesitant to further their journey into the Microsoft cloud or any cloud from the US, for instance. But I would still argue that cloud in itself might not be the problem. It's probably dependency on the cloud and the amount of providers that you have that offer a large scale portfolio and that you can benefit from is too small. So how would you navigate that? Because I do still think that cloud would probably be the way to innovate on a large and quick scale for many organizations.
Yeah. And would it be for, let's say, future choices? If you, for example, looking into a new CRM or any new project, would that be a good opportunity to reconsider your dependence, not increase it, but make different choices? Because I think moving back from the cloud to on-prem or these kind of solutions is not really an option nowadays. Huh?
Well, I think you got a point there, because it's always about making the right choices, not pursuing just the alternative that's out there, because we are a Microsoft only house, which is a term we hear a lot within our clients. Now we will buy Microsoft unless. I think you should shift from that and just for every technological decision make consult the market. We recently had a client in the Netherlands, quite a large manufacturing client, who was choosing SAP for HANA. But basically, instead of just choosing Microsoft as the database, they more or less put it in the market, just saying, well, whoever out there, if you bid the lowest price for the database, you will get that. And that was quite a tough challenge between the vendors. In the end, it ended up in having the lowest price for the clients. So in this case, Microsoft lost, and the client has chosen for AWS.
If you talk about digital independence or let's say digital independence, then buying at the lowest price might lead you to a, let's say, American cloud party. So it doesn't really, let's say, stick with the independence, right? It makes you more dependent if you go that route, right? If you choose costs or cost savings over independence.
Yeah, I think so. And I think the example is a telling example, like choosing the one that offers at the lowest price, not necessarily going Microsoft unless. That's definitely a good strategy. But if you're invested in cloud, you want to leverage the the benefits of the cloud, there's generally not that many alternatives outside, for instance, larger American companies, or you have to go, for instance, with a Chinese cloud broker. I don't think you will quickly do that. But one of the things that we are seeing quite heavily is that front runners that ran into the cloud are now asking themselves, can I go back and still do it in a similar way, for instance, through traditional hosting parties that are or do have a presence in Europe or locally, like, for instance, a German company that wants to use a German hosted data center for their solutions. These noises are more prevalent now when we talk to our clients, that they are actually engaging with other parties again, and not just blindly running everything into the Azure or Amazon cloud, for instance. And that begs the question, like, if you were a front runner into the cloud, what if you're still a laggard? So if you have not made your journey into the cloud at the moment, or are still testing the bathwater and touching tiny bits and pieces of your infrastructure, moving it to the cloud slowly, like some industries or some areas within Europe, like Eastern Europe, or for instance, certain industries like, I don't know, the healthcare market or local government that has long pushed away the cloud and is still willing to make the move, but they are now envisioning, like, okay, should I make that jump? Should I choose for the innovative cloud, or should I investigate in alternatives that might not be as innovative, but do make me less dependent on these large companies and all the risks associated potentially to this?
And I think in the end, it's fair to say that those clients, those laggards who were titled as not embracing the technology and the cloud, they didn't make a wrong choice. Looking backward, I think they made quite a smart choice. Also, when you look at it from an investment perspective, if you just keep on older Microsoft technology, in the end, they spend less on IT than.
Yeah, and Eric, I agree with you, but at the same time, maybe I have missed out on 5 or whenever, how many years of innovation or things they could not have done or could have done with the cloud. That is, of course, also an angle to that. We don't know. So we were talking just a bit about customers being or clients being in different situation, either being full front runners in the cloud or being a little bit more conservative when it comes to moving workloads that way. So that is they have different choices at that moment. So if we want to translate it a bit to, let's say, our profession, so we engage with customers that are fully in the cloud on Azure, M365, E5, etc. But also we have some more traditional licensed customers that are more on-prem and offers on-prem even. And what if we would translate it to our profession and depending on, of course, the client situation, but looking forward on new agreements, what are things we should be taking into account? What would be our advice or pro tip to clients if we have a few on those? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think for first, every client should, if they make any new decisions with regards to technology, it shouldn't be the Microsoft first alternative. Just consult the market, check what's out there, and make sure that you are creating a complete situation for every requirement that you have. I think the example of the manufacturing client who, more or less consulted the market for the database is a great example. In the end, you need a database. It needs to work. It needs to function. Whether it's Microsoft or AWS in this case, it shouldn't matter. So that's something I would like to see our followers and clients do more. Just consult the market. Don't bet on one horse. That's in the end, I think, the main advice. That the clients who have bet on one single horse, they are now feeling the pain. clients who bet on 2 or more horses, they do the best deals. When it comes to Microsoft, when it comes to AWS, all the vendors don't bet on one horse. That's basically tip number one. If you go for one horse, then you will have these issues in the end. Because if you bet on several horses, if one of the horses are becoming sick during the coming years, you can always slowly move away to another horse. So I don't see clients moving away in a few days from the cloud. That will not happen. But I think the market should become healthy again, not having just 1 or 2 companies out there getting all of the market, but just divide the market along more. That will happen most definitely. This what happens now will be an eye opener to a lot of clients, just reconsidering the decisions they have made in the past years, and it will cause clients to think, oh, maybe we didn't make the right choice in the end. And
Okay.
what we can do is just help our clients make just educated decisions on what is and what isn't possible in the Microsoft landscape. So yeah.
Yeah, I think customers need to explore their alternatives and have options and consult the market what's there. And I think when we plug into our business, make sure that if you start negotiating or having conversations, that you have real alternatives to choose for.
Yeah.
And the best alternative, what I was always told, is business as usual. If you're not sure, if you don't want to make a move, and you are unsure of where the market is going with this, maybe just don't do anything right now. Sit on your hands for a bit, see what happens. Especially with the whole AI move, it went so rapidly all of a sudden. It's still going very fast. That why would you lock yourself into a multi-year cloud AI agreement with Microsoft if next month a new hot thing might come out and you're stuck with an IT solution that doesn't perform to your requirements anymore because the requirements have increased already. So it's not necessary. Yes, it's good to be a front runner sometimes, but it's also not necessarily a bad thing to lag behind a little bit, to just test out, see what the market is doing, see where it's going. If you look at a thing like Copilot, I mean, Microsoft says that it's a 70% efficiency increase for everybody that uses it. Well, I don't consider that to be true. I've been using it myself, and maybe I'm not the right target audience, but I don't get a 70% efficiency increase in my day-to-day work because of Copilot. I do see the potential for it, like if they are able to integrate it more fully into the applications, if they may able to make it an overarching thing that it can collaborate through and across different applications, then I'm going to see that benefit. So, but until then, it wouldn't make sense for me to say, okay, everybody gets a Copilot license because we're just going to wait it out and see when that promise is going to be delivered for the entire organization. And that's usually what I ask our clients as well. Like, okay, you want to adopt this new technology, but why do you want it? Because it's shiny and fancy, or because you actually see a need for it? And actually seeing a need for it, then what are your alternatives? Give me 3-4 competitors to that product that you want from Microsoft, and then let's investigate if Microsoft is indeed the best way to go. Like looking at Microsoft by default is a good thing because the whole platform of Microsoft is created in such a way that it works well together. But Microsoft also has a lot of partnerships with other IT companies that might prove similar collaboration opportunities that you weren't aware of yet. So yeah.
It's and it's funny that you mentioned, because this week I already have had a dialogue with 2 CIOs who actually said, we always were aiming for 3 or 5 year renewals, but maybe now let's just go for a 1-year renewal. Just renew the situation as it is, see what will happen and how it will dry up, this thing that's going on, and then make an educated decision in a year. Well, And to be
It
quite honest, I did.
used to be the other way around, right?
Yeah,
Like
it used to be
Microsoft
the other
would
way
say,
around.
"Oh,
Yeah.
let's do 3 years, 3 to 5 years," and
Yeah.
Microsoft would say, 5 years. No, we don't want a 5-year agreement. It's too long a
Yeah.
time. And now Microsoft wants to lock you in a 5-year agreement, whereas you, as an end customer, you really more like, I was thinking actually shorter than 3 years.
And that's funny because you always have the risk of price hikes coming up. But I think even though if there will become price hikes, it's also more of a it's not even like a decision from common sense anymore. Also from emotion about the whole situation that is going on. So I anticipate we do a lot of one year renewals in the next few months. Because of this. But yeah, let's see what will happen. But yeah, interesting times, and I must say, yeah, it is.
Um, conscientious question then maybe, but would you advise a customer on repatriating their IT? So they have moved everything into Azure or most of their data centers into Azure. Would you consider that to be an actual interesting use case to look into with our clients?
Well, typically, what we see now in the Azure domain and clients that are consuming through even the EA or what we see now more often through MCA, they are not getting extremely high discounts on that. Where in the beginning, Azure was a growing market for Microsoft, but Microsoft has quite rapidly already reduced discounts in that sense. So something I sense a lot is pushback from clients. They're saying, "Oh, I'm consuming more, but the discount is decreasing, and all of the prices are going up." So that's not a healthy development. So they are looking for options out there, and that's quite interesting to see because we see a lot of clients now also considering moving away from the direct relation with Microsoft, not saying goodbye to Azure, but just looking into indirect ways to buy Azure, whether it's to a third party or to a CSP partner. We see that happening quite a lot in the past few months, actually. So that's also an interesting development where you see that clients simply are not satisfied about the terms and conditions that Microsoft is able to offer them in the MCA. Clients are exploring their options and checking the market. And yeah, sometimes it can be an option just to move away from the MCA and explore other options as well. So I think the exploring options and just risk assessment towards the future will be a great. It will be a lot of work for us the coming time because clients are considering their options now.
I think it's really high depending on the customer type and how it's deployed and what they have there. I think it's a huge project to determine, okay, what will be the alternatives? How do we move back to another, I don't know, local hoster, or are you going to rebuild your own data centers, or how are you going to do the migration? What kind of features and technology and innovation are you going to miss out on? So it could be an interesting thing, but it will be a very complex assessment.
Yeah, because we've also heard customers of Microsoft saying things like, "I thought the cloud was supposed to be cheaper, but now that I've moved everything, my bill is just going up, and up, and I feel like the old way of doing things, I had A, more control, and B, it cost me less." I don't know if that's factually true or not, but for instance, somebody that is telling me that, we would probably help figure out what would cause them to go back to on-prem. But also, my statement to a customer of Microsoft that has that feeling is, have you done everything in your power to make sure that you optimize your environment accordingly? And that's where I also think that a lot of Microsoft customers are not yet mature enough in looking for ways to actively reduce your price or your spend with Microsoft through correct optimization of your environment, rather than saying, "Oh, I just see my bill go up." Ask yourself, why is that going up, and what can I do about it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I spoke to a company from South Africa the other week, and well, we were kind of discussing what his environment looked like, and he was basically all on prem, and he said, I really don't understand how companies can afford going to the cloud. So it depends if you're still in a situation where you have to make the decision, and you run the numbers, and you don't, it doesn't make the business case. Maybe the other way around is also true. Maybe nowadays the business case in the cloud, if you would go back, would look way better on-prem again. I don't know. It really depends per customer, but
Well,
it's interesting to think
in the end, I think the Microsoft Cloud is, from a technological perspective, is maybe best out there. But when you look at it from a price perspective and a commercial perspective, and the way they have commercially monetized on this, starting maybe with the pandemic, and then going forward into this current time now, where we are, the situation where it is now, then it's quite interesting to see what model they have chosen. And I think a lot of clients have said, "Oh, I didn't sign up for this. I wanted the cloud to become more flexible and cheaper." But instead, it's the other way around. And I think with all what is going on, it will not become cheaper. That's most definitely in the outcome.
Why
It will
will
not become cheaper.
why will it not become cheaper?
It will, costs are running up, I think, and what's happening now in the world can either cause into a recession, or with all the tariffs coming up, that the cloud bill will increase more and more. So I think, you want to be invoiced locally. I think a lot of clients are aiming for that in the near future. For instance, you have a contract with Microsoft, and you are receiving the invoice from another company. Who knows what will happen? So I think the indirect market, where more or less clients are being invoiced from their own country, I think that will be a popular option. But I think all of that will make the cloud more expensive, because every party that's involved needs to earn, and therefore the bill will go up.
And Eric, to your point, so expensive is also all relative. So I think you need to compare it towards alternatives, or other cloud solutions, maybe local or completely other options, maybe on-prem, these kind of things. So, but still, I think prices will go up at the end of the day. But where do you compare it to? So that's what's your ultimate?
But of course you don't have that many. So for instance, for managing your endpoints, delivering a modern workplace, for instance, you don't have that many opportunities. But you should investigate on, for instance, the AI front, on anything related to your infrastructure or security. There's obviously a lot of players out there that can do a lot of things that Microsoft is doing, and they have probably been doing it for a longer period of time as well, because Microsoft and security is basically, well, how old is EMS right now? Not even 10. I don't know. But basically, Microsoft security strategy has evolved out of nothing when I started at Microsoft into what it is now. And now they're one of the dominant players. But there have been many other parties out there delivering similar products for a longer period of time. And they're very nichely positioned and focused on delivering that type of service. So might even work out better for you in the end.
Who will tell? Huh?
Yeah.
Well, it was an interesting session, guys. I think we will keep an eye out what's happening out there, and probably we'll have a follow-up on this session as well in the coming weeks and months. We will keep our audience posted. In the meantime,
Yeah, thanks for sharing both. And if there are clients that want to discuss or need advice or have their views, we're curious to hear and learn and discuss.
Yeah.
Till next one.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.